Martin from the Philippines. We're here in Real Talk Lifeline. And in this live, I'm excited to share with you. This is called How to Heal Your Addiction. So, what is this about? I was recently journaling and I had some breakthroughs. I want to share this with you. Where am I coming from? This was this material I was listening on The Psychology of an Addict by Carl Jung. So, who is Carl Jung? I'll share very quickly my screen, a quick background on him, and I'll interact with you guys also. I'll be asking you guys very shortly uh, what is an addiction and what are examples of your addictions. So, before we begin, let's take a look on who Carl Jung is. This is the basis of this journaling and the video. He is a Swiss psychiatrist and psychotherapist, born in 1875 and he passed away in 1961. So he was a Swiss psychiatrist, psychotherapist, and psychologist. Um, he founded the School of Analytical Psychology. You know, his contemporaries during that time were Sigmund Freud, if ever you are familiar with that name in the world of psychology. So, again, he also talked about foundational lessons, which I also am inspired by and I share the shadow, so shadow work. So, this is Carl Jung. So, let me stop the sharing on the screen, come back to you guys. So, what is an addiction, right? And I'll start off by sharing what are your addictions. So, I'll go first, but people watching the live or the replay, feel free to share what are examples of your addiction. So, mine could be growing up. Of course, I wasn't aware of this as a kid. Sugar, chocolate, candy. One time I kept chewing on bubble gum until like my teeth started getting loose. So addictions can be, physical, right? Chemical, like that. Later on, video games. So they become a little more mental or psychological. We get hooked on them. Yes, there are chemicals, dopamine involved like that. Sex. So like as I grew up later on, so my love language I didn't know back then was physical touch. How about you guys? What are examples of addiction? So top of mind, addictions don't necessarily have to be like drugs, hard drugs. I don't just mean like weed like that. It could be cocaine, it could be here in the Philippines, shabu, like crack, heroin. It's harder drugs, right? Which are very highly addictive. Now, those are not the only examples. It could be gambling. Now, on a lighter note, it can also be shopping. So how many here, you have a shopping addiction? What that means is it's already borderline. You cannot control it, but you just feel that no impulse control whenever there's a sale. You just feel like buying and buying and buying and buying. And I mean this in an unhealthy way. Another example could be an addiction to cell phones over here. So if you want to test, do you have an addiction to your cell phone? Try not using it or the Wi Fi or the data for an entire day or even just 2 hours. Instantly, you can tell if you have an addiction. Doom scrolling already, like when you're on Instagram or whatever it is now. So, what are other examples? Gossip. So, you know some people who are addicted to gossip, drama. So that's a different level. You don't have to even be talking, but some people are so addicted to negativity whenever they see the news, whenever they see something negative or any form of drama, they can't control it. That is an addiction. Some on the flip side, some people are addicted to success. These are like the workaholics. Some people are addicted to money. They just want to keep like getting more. They want to be a millionaire, billionaire. Some people are addicted to control, guilty, attention, and lastly, this hits me. Some people are addicted to love. Now, I'll put that in quote marks because usually this is an unhealthy form of love, right? In my case, it was codependence. I can't live without you. We're always looking for it, but then we always feel empty later on. These are examples of addiction. So, what's the solution, right? Martin, let's be constructive moving forward. What do we do from this point? How do you heal your addiction? So, I'm going to share my screen. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go through the journaling session I just went through from this morning to now, right before going live. And I'll share with you, I'll walk through, I'll go through it with you together. So I'll share with you the best lessons that helped me break through. So down here. So I journaled some notes over here, how to heal your addiction. Let me try going full screen. Or, okay, that didn't make much of a difference over here. I'll read it with you guys. How to heal your addiction. So the first journaling post that hit me was this. All addictions, Carl Jung said, are substitutes for legitimate suffering. So already past the surface, a little deeper, some of you are already seeing the clarity, the insight. Addiction isn't just a symptom. It isn't just about taking some medicine or drug just to take care of it because it keeps coming back from experience. Next line. Jung was clear. People don't become addicted because they are broken. They become addicted because they are disconnected from meaning. Now, I love this because this one points to the answer. Meaning. Meaning, a deeper form of meaning. This is a spiritual level, purpose, mission, meaning in life. Some will call that God here in the Philippines, faith. That one is actually the solution to addiction. Next line. The reason they can't stop isn't because they're weak. It's because what they're trying to fill is bottomless. Now, how many of you can relate to this? When you have an addiction, you keep trying to fill it, you keep trying to get it, but it's never enough. Never enough. It could be material, it could be emotional, it could be food, it could be shopping, it could be pleasure like that, but it's never enough. You'll always feel hollow, bottomless. Next line. You can't fill a spiritual void with material substitutes. You can try, and many do, but it never lasts. Next line. That's why Jung said the cure for addiction is a spiritual experience. I love this line and I even marked it because I find this to be true in my personal experience. This is why I'm journaling, I'm processing and integrating, and I'm sharing this live with you. So make it real, Martin. What do you mean by spiritual experience? In my life, going through depression after a 9 year relationship breakup took me 10 years just to get closure. So that was from 2014 to 2024. The spiritual experience I would get would be near death experiences, for lack of a better term. Sometimes it's going to a seminar, getting enlightenment, aha moments, epiphanies, but those experiences you will feel to the core. It's like an awakening, right? And enlightenment, some call that Satori experiences. Something just makes sense in that moment. So I say near death experiences because in my personal experience, it took something that deep for me to finally get the lesson. Some took time, but some were very powerful in the moment. So, what do you mean, Martin? The next line. A real encounter with something greater than your pain. So sometimes what are examples of this? For me, this is why I'm doing the live. When I attended seminars with like Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within, Date with Destiny, especially Date with Destiny, the higher level, deeper seminars, you will witness people share their stories, their testimony. And when you witness someone who went through deeper or greater pain than you, sometimes that alone is an awakening because you could feel it because they're speaking from experience, from truth. It's very eye opening. So, experiences like that could be healing. Next, the addict isn't asking for more pleasure, they're begging for something real. This made me realize why I made Real Talk Lifeline. So, and it's hard to admit, maybe I was an addict, right? Just a different kind. So, when you are seeking for something real, when you're seeking for the truth, that actually is the answer to addiction, which a lot of us aren't aware we are addicts. Addicts not to drugs, addicts not to things that are obvious, but it's something that we keep trying to compulsively do to fill something bottomless or hollow, a hole within us. Next line. You've heard the phrase rock bottom before, but Jung would say rock bottom is not a failure. It is a rite of passage. When everything collapses, something sacred begins. Because now there's nothing left but truth. So, for people who can relate, a rock bottom is like your lowest moment in life. It is a dark night of the soul. It is like walking through the valley of the shadow of death. You feel dead on the inside. And some are, it's literal, like they really go through near death experiences, or they're in such a dark place in their life. So Carl Jung would say that it's not a failure, actually. It's not bad, but that, which is very painful and dark, can turn into a rite of passage because it could show you the truth. And I have gone through that. And we actually go through that spirals. It's like cycles in life. Sometimes you think like, oh, it won't happen again, but it does in a different way. So next line, that is what transforms you. Not punishment, not fear, but meaning. The day you realize your suffering has a purpose is the day your healing begins. I love this. So, this is the answer for anyone who is in addiction. You don't cure it by punishment, by fear, but the transformation happens when you realize that suffering has meaning, it has a purpose, and then you start to heal. This has been very true in my personal life, actually. Again, why I made Real Talk Lifeline. Next line. They heal when they experience a moment, a dream, a vision, a breakdown that reorients their entire identity. Something clicks, and suddenly the pain has context. The suffering wasn't random. Finally makes sense of the chaos when he realizes why he had to face it in the first place. So, Martin, make it real, okay? Give me a real life example of this, why you had to face it in the first place. So, a very quick example of this I could share with you is this one, my breakup. So, the 9 year relationship took me 10 years to finally make it click and get closure. So my lesson there, super summarized, is I realized I didn't know what codependency was. Again, it's that I can't live without you. That was my programming, my definition of love back then. It's like when I needed someone the most, I was abandoned, even though I did try to stay for the other person. So why so what is the why here, right? Why did I have to face it in the first place? I learned to have coffee by myself, meaning, Martin, can you be happy and whole by yourself even without another person? And it's very hard. Some people get the lesson at once, but if you're coming from a place where I was coming from, attached, codependent, uh the way I grew up and was programmed, it's very difficult. So, why did I have to face that in the first place? Because if I don't, it's going to happen again, like a pattern. And what I realized why it took 10 years was copy paste. The time it clicked for me was when I realized my ex just went through the same pattern and loop 10 years after. So mine was 9 years, and then she moved on with another guy, and like the same shit happened again 10 years after. That's the only time it clicked for me because I wasn't a part of the equation anymore, and it was still happening again. So if I didn't learn that lesson, it would happen again and again and again, like a loop. So that's why I had to face it in the first place, to learn that lesson. Next line. True freedom isn't about being untouchable, it's about being real. So, okay, explain, Martin. This is why I'm doing this Real Talk Lifeline, real, raw, and authentic conversations. True freedom isn't about being perfect, right? I'm sharing with you all my mistakes as well, right? It's full vulnerability. You could backstab me, front stab me, shit talk me right now, but the only thing that I'll give you is being real, right? That thing, that is it. I will not go below that. I will not go below being real, giving the truth, being authentic, right? And a lot of people can touch you, a lot of people can hate you, a lot of people can, shit on you. That's fine, right? Because that's how you get true freedom. It's about being real. And this is what it looks like. So we're near the end. The addict who awakens doesn't chase perfection, they chase presence. They no longer run from the silence, they sit with it. They find meaning in the mundane. They stop looking for the world to save them and begin building a life that doesn't need escape. So this line hits: the moment you can tell you are healing is when you can actually sit with yourself in silence. This was very hard for me to do. That's why I said having coffee by myself. The thoughts that would pop up in my head when I would be outside in a cafe: what if someone sees me? Oh, he's all alone. What will they think of me? Right? Normally, when you eat out, you have someone with you, like that. So all of these ego thoughts, all of this bullshit. Now, some of you get it, but a lot of you who could relate, I went through that. I went through that process, and it's much better now in recent years. So the moment you can sit with yourself, it's like solitary confinement. The person with a lot of shadows, a lot of, unresolved trauma and addictions, put them in solitary confinement, let them sit alone, they're going to have a lot of demons that they're going to face. So the solution is this. It is this. So the last one I journaled is this: because to overcome addiction is not just to heal, it is to reclaim your place in the human story, the story of the one who fell, faced the dark, and emerged with gold. Not broken, not fixed, but whole. So the point of Carl Jung in this journaling is it's not to be perfect, right? What does healing mean? It means integrating all parts of us: the parts where we fell, the parts where we made mistakes, the parts where we faced our shadow, but it's also rewriting that story. So if you look up Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey, we go through the shadow, we go through the darkness, we face it, but we also learn a lesson from it. That is the gold which I'm trying to share with you. Now, I don't mind sharing the lesson right here, right now, because we will all still have to go through it. So let me stop the sharing, because that's how to heal your addiction. So when we all go through it, the reason why I'm going live is it feels so much better or even possible when we see another person going through it with us. You're not the only one going through depression. Some of you, your addiction is you're broke. You can't stop spending. Now you don't have money. That's not even the worst. Some people end up in debt, right? Like they owe a lot of money, a lot. And I had an uncle in Canada, his friend, it's related to money, it's related to gambling, got into trouble with loan sharks. They killed him. So there are worse levels even. Now, let's focus on the solution, right? Right here. Let's heal. Let's start with ourselves. Maybe it's going to help someone else as well. So that's it for how to heal your addiction for this live. If you like this topic, and you want to go live with me and talk about real, raw, and authentic conversations, comment live down below. Reach out. I would love to have a conversation with you. I find it very healing. Again, just related to the topic. If you want to do a one on one with me, I do one on one coaching. Comment clarity call down below. How that works is I will ask you, what is your biggest challenge in life right now that you feel stuck with? I'll listen to you first and I will help you break through. So thank you. I love you and I will see you next time.